I made a bet with my boyfriend's cheating partner that whoever lost would have to run around the airport shirtless. My boyfriend's company had organized a group trip for employees. He insisted that I go with him. By the time we arrived at the airport, most of the employees had already gathered. The women were dressed to impress, and the men wore suits and ties as if they were attending some high-profile event. Just as we passed security check, I overheard someone sneer loudly, "Seriously? What bad luck? How did a nobody manage to sneak into this elite gathering?" My boyfriend heard it too, but instead of defending me, he subtly stepped away to distance himself. Before I could even ask him why, he turned around and wrapped his arm around another woman right in front of me. "At least with Miss Camilla, I won't have to sit in economy class. What about you?" he said smugly. I froze for a few seconds before letting out a small laugh. "I could have this plane turn around if I wanted. Natalie Winters, I never thought you'd turn into such a liar," he scoffed. "I used to think you were at least honest, even if you were poor. But now, you are making up ridiculous stories just to keep me?" He smirked. "Do yourself a favor, cancel your ticket while you still can. At least you will save some money." Before I could respond, the woman by his side let out a condescending laugh. "Allow me to introduce myself," she said. "I'm Camilla Beaumont, the owner of your boyfriend's company." She flicked her hair back and continued. "Since your boyfriend already explained things to you, let's not waste time. I want him. Name your price." I looked at the two of them. Their performance was so synchronized that it was almost comical. I chuckled. Judging by how things are playing out, I don't have much of a choice here, do I? When I was at the base, my boyfriend had called me over and over again, practically begging me to come on this trip. I had assumed it was because he couldn't bear to be apart from me. Now it was clear that he and Miss Camilla had planned this all along. The moment I spoke, Brandon's face stiffened. "Don't make stuff up," he said. "Miss Camilla and I have always been just colleagues. You should blame yourself. You are the one who refuses to work harder. Your salary is pathetic. How do you expect anyone to live like that?" I stood there, stunned. Me? Not working hard enough? My salary is pathetic? I mentally calculated my income in my mind. Excluding the year-end bonuses, I made at least several $100,000 monthly. The reason he thought I was poor was simple. I never dressed up. But it wasn't because I couldn't afford to. I was under a strict 5-year confidentiality agreement. I couldn't tell him. My clothes and daily necessities were all issued by my unit. I even had a car and driver assigned to me whenever I left the premises. This time was the one time I had begged my superiors to grant me a bit of personal freedom. I had already accepted that Brandon was leaving me because he thought I was poor, but humiliating me in public like this? That, I couldn't swallow. I took a deep breath. "Brandon, we haven't even broken up yet, and you are already involved with someone else. That's called cheating." Camilla's smug expression hardened the moment she heard my words. She clung to my boyfriend's arm, her posture dripping with arrogance. "Cheating? Seriously?" she sneered. "He already dumped you. Stop acting pathetic and get lost." Then, as if to put an end to the conversation, she reached into her designer purse, pulled out a stack of cash, 20,000, and tossed it at my feet. "Take the money immediately, and disappear." "Miss Camilla, do you really think I need your money?" My lips curled into a smirk. "I suggest you rethink your attitude, because if I say the word, none of you are getting on that plane today." Before the last syllable even left my mouth, Brandon, my so-called boyfriend, stood up. "Natalie, stop bluffing. Who the hell do you think you are?" he scoffed. "I've been with you long enough to know you don't even own a car." Meanwhile, Camilla rented a private jet for me. What do you have to compete with her? His words sent the onlookers into fits of laughter. Did you hear that? A woman who can't even keep her own man. She's got no money, no status, and doesn't even know how to dress properly. It's pathetic. That's right. Look at her outfit. I would bet everything she's wearing doesn't even add up to $100. I ignored these people's mockery of me and turned to leave. But before I could take more than a few steps, Camilla's shrill voice cut through the air. "Oh, weren't you full of confidence just now? Why are you suddenly running away?" I stopped, turned back and met her gaze with icy indifference. "I have nothing to say to people like you." After hearing my words, Camilla's face immediately changed. "Little bitch, what the hell is that supposed to mean?" she snarled, eyes flashing with rage. "Looking down on me, huh?" I let out a short laugh and nodded. "I'm not looking down on you, but I'm looking down on all of you." When these words came out, the scene instantly exploded. Their expressions turned cold, their eyes sharp with hostility, as if they wanted to rip me apart on the spot. Camilla was also so angry that she jerked up her arm and rushed over to fight me. But Brandon stepped in and held her back before she could reach me. "Babe, calm down," he cooed. "She's not worth it. Hitting her would only dirty your hands." "Brandon, I won't argue with you anymore," I said calmly, my voice steady. "I just have one thing to tell you." Halfway through my sentence, I paused for a few seconds and my eyes glazed over. "Breaking up with me? You will 100% regret it." "Natalie, are you still putting on a show? If I regret it, then I must be a dog, right?" Brandon sneered. Seeing that he still wanted to continue on, I hastily raised my hand to interrupt him. "Good. That's all I needed to hear. Remember this moment. Whatever happens next, you brought it on yourself." Without another word, I pulled out my cell phone from my pocket and dialed my assistant's number. "Hey, immediately help me buy a business-class airplane ticket, right now." The person on the other end of the phone heard my voice and flinched. "Miss Natalie, don't you usually like to travel in a low profile? How come this sudden?" I glanced at my ex-boyfriend and spoke coldly. "Being too low-key only invites people to underestimate you." Just as my words left my mouth, my assistant immediately understood their meaning. "Okay, I will book it right away." A few seconds later, their voice returned, slightly nervous. "Miss Natalie, business class is fully booked. Do you think the first class is okay?" I waved my hand with disinterest. "It's the same for me wherever I sit. Go on with it." Then, as if suddenly remembering something, I added, "Actually, have the airport staff remove a few people from the flight." I doubt they'll do me any harm. I listed the names, Camilla Beaumont and Brandon Westwood. My assistant noted them down without hesitation. After hanging up, I strolled back to the waiting lounge. Because I always kept my phone on loudspeaker during calls, Camilla had heard every word. She burst into laughter. She clung onto my ex-boyfriend's arm and patted my shoulder with mock sympathy. "Natalie, have you lost your mind over being dumped?" She smirked. "This plane's first class isn't even available for public booking. I couldn't even get a seat when I chartered a flight. I advise you not to hold on. It will be humiliating if you can't board the plane later." She giggled as if she had just told the funniest joke in the world. Just then, the airport's announcement system came to life. "Passengers of Flight G493, boarding will commence shortly. Please proceed to the gate for check-in." "Come on, darling, let's take the exclusive passageway," Camilla purred before glancing at me, amusement twinkling in her eyes. "As for some people, well, looks like you will have to stand in line with the commoners." I remained seated, chuckling softly. "Oh, is that so?" I tilted my head, meeting her gaze. "Miss Camilla, how about we make a little bet?" Her smirk faltered slightly. "A bet?" I nodded. "I bet that your flight won't take off today." Before Camilla could respond, the surrounding bootlickers erupted into laughter. "Did you all hear that? This bitch. Nobody thinks she can control an entire flight. I've been on so many airplanes and I've never seen anyone able to stop a plane from taking off." One by one, the air was thick with mockery, as Camilla's entourage scrambled to flatter her. Brandon, naturally, wouldn't miss his chance to shine. "Natalie, you should really take a look at yourself in the mirror before running your mouth." With Miss Camilla's influence, she could buy out the entire flight if she wanted to. I suppressed a chuckle and turned back to Camilla. "Since Miss Camilla is so powerful, do you dare to take the bet just now?" Her lips curled into an arrogant grin. "Bet? Fine. Do you think I would be scared of a nobody like you? Let's do it." A round of applause broke out among the crowd, as if she had just made the most heroic declaration of the century. I slowly raised my head, sweeping the circle with my eyes. "You all heard it," I said, calm yet firm. "What the heir to the hallowed Beaumont group said can't be reversed. Whoever loses between Miss Camilla and I will run around the airport shirtless." A hushed silence fell over the crowd, before Camilla sneered and then smirked triumphantly. "What makes you so confident? Do you think you own this airport or something? Open your dog's eyes wide later and give me a good look at how the plane actually took off." With that, she hooked her arm around Brandon's and strutted confidently toward the boarding gate. I followed behind, calm as ever. Once everyone had boarded, the plane taxied onto the runway, preparing for takeoff. But just then, I didn't know who had shouted out in the airplane cabin. "Guys, look outside!"